So denaturation of DNA means the double stranded structure of DNA can be separated into two individual strands. That is what melting of DNA. This can be also called as melting of DNA. This can be taken place by increasing the temperature where the DNA is present, or by decreasing the salt concentration. So we can cause the denature of DNA by increasing the temperature or by decreasing the salt concentration, so that denaturation of DNA will take place. So this phenomenon of loss of helical structure of DNA is called denaturation. So in denaturation, what happens is the disruption of hydrogen bonds takes place. Similarly, there will be disruption in the hydrogen bonds, there will be disruption in the hydrophobic interactions, so that the double helical DNA is unwinded, is opened up, is melted, so that they can form two individual DNA strands. See this diagram. So on the left hand side you can see the double stranded DNA helix. One is in black color, the other one is in green color. So when you do the denaturation, means the above forward reaction is called denaturation, means both the strands can be separated, because the hydrogen bonds and the van der Waals forces, other forces that are stabilizing the DNA structure, are broken or disturbed or removed, so that two different DNA strands have been formed. And again by renaturation, means both the strands on renaturation, again they can form into DNA helix, means by decreasing the temperature you can make both the strands again double helical. So that is called renaturation. Denaturation causes double strand DNA into two single strand DNAs. Again, when you decrease the temperature, these two strands will anneal each other, means will form back to the same original structure. That is called renaturation. So denaturation causes double strand to single strands, and renaturation allows both the single stranded DNAs to form double stranded DNA helix again. So with the denaturation, there is increase in optical absorbance of bases, a phenomenon called hyperchromicity of denaturation. So when you denature, how you will understand whether this is denatured or not? For that we can go for absorption in spectrophotometer. By using spectrophotometer, if you study the absorption ranges of this solution, you can come to know whether it is double stranded DNA or single stranded DNA. If it is single stranded DNA, the hyperchromicity is observed in case of denaturation. So by spectrophotometric studies we can come to know whether it is double strand DNA or single strand DNA. Now melting temperature is one term which you should understand for denaturation of DNAs. So melting temperature, it is defined as temperature at which half of helical structure is lost. It is defined as temperature at which half of helical structure is lost to DNA. So this is called as Tm. Tm means melting temperature. So Tm is influenced by base composition and by salt concentration of solution. The DNA rich in GC pairs melts at higher temperature than the DNA which contains AT pairs. Means wherever GC pairing is there, because I told you in the beginning, guanine binds with cytosine by 3 hydrogen bonds, whereas adenine binds with thymine by 2 hydrogen bonds. So to break 2 hydrogen bonds we need less energy. To break 3 hydrogen bonds compared to 2 hydrogen bonds, we need more energy to make a triple bond. So obviously what will happen, the DNA which is rich in GC pairs melts at higher temperature because it needs more energy to be broken down, whereas a DNA which is rich in AT pairs requires less energy compared to the DNA which is rich in GC pairs. The difference is because GC pair is having triple bonds, AT pair is having double bond. So for GC pair DNA rich double strand DNA to break, we need high temperatures. In such kind of DNA, we need TM will be little higher compared to the DNA with AT pairs. So application of this melting temperature and denaturation is formamide is a compound that destabilizes the hydrogen bonds, thereby lowering the melting temperature. So formamide we can use. So for denaturation of double strand DNA, if we want to do the denaturation of double stranded DNA, we have to heat the DNA at high temperatures. Instead, if you add a compound called formamide which destabilizes the hydrogen bonds, then what will happen? The TM which you need to use can be lowered down, can be decreased. So by using a compound formamide, we can decrease the TM value, and you can do the denaturation of DNA very easily. And DNA chain gets separated at much lower temperatures. DNA chains get separated at much lower temperatures by using this formamide compound. And it minimizes the phosphodiester bond breakage. PDE I have mentioned here, it is phosphodiester bond. It minimizes the phosphodiester bond breakage that can occur at higher temperatures. So when you go to higher temperatures for denaturation of DNA, what will happen? The phosphodiester bond that is present between the sugar and phosphate of nucleotide molecule will also get disturbed. As a result, what will happen? The single strand DNAs may not be formed exactly the way we want. So for that purpose, we can use this compound called formamide to destabilize the hydrogen bonds and decrease the melting temperature, so that the phosphodiester bond will remain intact with the sugar and the single strand DNA will be maintained in intact structure. So therefore, this formamide compound is used in recombinant DNA experiments where we wanted to separate the double stranded DNA for our experimental purpose. So that is about denaturation. Now coming to renaturation of DNA. Denaturation means it is conversion of double stranded DNA into single stranded DNA. Renaturation means the separated single stranded DNAs, again they associate to double helical DNA structure, that is called renaturation. So separation of strands of DNA, separated strands of DNA reassociate when appropriate physiologic temperature and salt conditions are achieved, a process called as renaturation, also called as re-annealing process. So re-annealing means renaturation, means the separated strands of DNA reassociate into double strand DNA provided the temperature and salt conditions are maintained at the normal range where double strand DNA helix exists. So renaturation of two complementary DNA chains of a chromosome after DNA replication is a physiologic example of renaturation. So during the process of replication, what happens? The double stranded DNA gets separated, unwinded into single strands, and the replication process takes place. So once the replication is over, newly synthesized DNA strands, they also form into a double helical structure, new double helical DNA strand, and the unwinded double stranded DNAs again associate and form double strand DNA. This is a natural renaturation process taking place at physiological conditions inside the cells. Then rate of reassociation depends upon concentration of complementary strands. Rate of reassociation depends upon concentration of complementary strands, means the DNA, both the single stranded DNA, they are complementary to each other. So when the complementary strands of DNA are brought together, providing the physiological conditions at the normal place where they exist, then the single stranded DNA they reassociate and form into a double stranded DNA. So this pairing of both the strands depends on the complementarity of the base pairs. Now that is about DNA structure. That is about DNA structure. Now we will move on to the RNA structure. Another nucleic acid, RNA. So RNA means ribonucleic acid. It is a polymer of ribonucleotides. It is a polymer of ribonucleotides linked by 3' 5' phosphodiester bonds. So DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid, RNA is ribonucleic acid. So ribonucleic acid, what will be there? Polymers of ribonucleotides are seen. They are all linked by 3' 5' phosphodiester bonds. So three types of RNAs are mainly present. Of course, there are some minor types of RNA, but majorly useful RNAs are of three types: mRNA, rRNA, tRNA. So mRNA means messenger RNA, rRNA means ribosomal RNA, tRNA means transfer RNA. So we will see one by one. But remember, three types of RNA are there: mRNA, rRNA and tRNA. So first type of RNA is mRNA. Its cellular composition of mRNA, if you see the cellular composition of mRNA, is about 5 to 10% of total RNA is of mRNA. mRNA means messenger RNA. Function of mRNA is transfer of genetic information from DNA. Transfer of genetic information from DNA to the proteins is the function of mRNA. mRNA is called messenger RNA. Why it is named as messenger? Because it carries the message that is present on the DNA to the site of protein synthesis. And proteins or amino acids are synthesized on mRNA strand. So that is why this mRNA is called messenger RNA, because it carries the message of DNA. So this is called messenger RNA or mRNA. So transfer of genetic information from DNA, and once the message is taken by mRNA, this is translated for the protein synthesis. So this is the main function of mRNA. Then tRNA, second type of RNA is tRNA. Its cellular composition is about 10 to 20% of the total RNA. tRNA accounts about 10 to 20% of total RNA. The function of tRNA is translation of RNA information that is present on mRNA into the specific sequences of polymerized amino acids. So the function of tRNA is translation of mRNA information into specific sequences of polymerized amino acids, which is nothing but a protein. So it helps in the synthesis of proteins. rRNA is accounts about 50 to 80%. So total among the three types of RNA, that is mRNA, tRNA and rRNA means ribosomal RNA. Ribosomal RNA accounts for major amount compared to tRNA and mRNA. So major amount is of rRNA. Next to rRNA is tRNA, and next to tRNA is mRNA in terms of amount of RNA. So rRNA accounts about 50 to 80% of total RNA, and its main function is formation and function of ribosomes.